is AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling, and we are presented by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024, Upper Deck AEW, and start your trading card collection today. Unwrapped autograph, memorabilia, and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. I'm Will Washington, and of course, I'm not alone here on AEW Unrestricted. I'm never here alone on AEW Unrestricted, except like that one time last year when you were sick.
That one time.
Like, where you didn't have a voice. You couldn't do a show. But we have Aubrey Edwards.
Hello. I remember that day very vividly because I didn't have a voice anymore. And Will, I don't think will ever let it die that he had to do the episode by himself and talk to Tony Khan about what pay-per-view were we promoting at that point?
Was that Full Gear or World's End? I want to say...
I think it was Full Gear.
Yeah, that sounds
I think it was
right.
Full Gear, which is a good segue because we're wrapped up Full Gear and we're on our way to World's End and we're knee deep in the Continental Classic. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am excited as well. Continental Classic, I mean, look, this is... The field for this year is so phenomenal. When you look at the Blue League with Shelton Benjamin, Kyle Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, Kazuchika Okada, Mark Briscoe, and the Beast Mortos. And then the Gold League, you've got Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Juice Robinson, and Ricochet. Of course, we've already seen so much go down in this in everything that's taken place on Dynamite and Collision, and thinking about the fact that it's all going to wrap up at World's End this year for the first time with 3 matches. You're going to see 3 Continental Classic matches in one show, where we're going to see the first place in the Blue League take on the Gold League second place, and Gold League's first place take on Blue League second place, and the winner of both of those matches will face each other that same night. This is going to be... We know somebody's going to have to compete twice, and to know that they're going to walk away the AEW Continental Champion. World's End's going to be an incredible night. It's coming up December 28th live on pay-per-view, and it's also live from Orlando, Florida, AEWTix.com, Edition Financial Arena. That's the way to be a part of the show. Look, Continental Classic season last year was so much fun, and again, just knowing what's on tap this year, it's going to be so much better.
I'm super stoked, in particular for Daniel Garcia, who basically had like his kind of like coming out party in the Continental Classic last year, just seeing his growth as a wrestler, and seeing him in the first round already go like a 20-minute time limit draw with Okada. Like, seeing him this year is going to be phenomenal because he's coming into this match with a title, his first ever title in AEW. I'm really pushing for him. I also just selfishly want to be in every Beast Mortos match if possible, because those are going to be absolute bangers.
Yeah, he truly does have bangers every single time, whether he wins or loses. You know you're going to get a lot out of a good old Frank Mortos, attorney at law. But look, I have those cards. I have like multiple sitting on my fridge. One day when I need an attorney, I will turn to Frank Mortos. But you know, again, you talked about Okada and getting to see Kyle Fletcher really kill it out there, and Brody King got to make for him to beat Darby the way he did, and glad Darby's still walking, but man, I feel like Brody King is going to be, he was already a force last year, but the way that he's walking through this tournament now is scary.
Yeah, there's a number of scary individuals in this tournament, and I'm excited to talk about one of them today. Who do we have with us today, Will?
And we are joined by the Hurt Syndicate's own. He is the standard of excellence.
Yes.
Shelton Benjamin. Shelton, thank you for being here on AEW Unrestricted.
Hey, well, thank you for having me.
Oh, what an intro.
Be a lot of fun. that's not bad. Will, we might need to rethink what you're doing in the back. Get him out there and start doing some announcing.
Thank you. No, honestly, it has been such a treat to have you in AEW. You, of course, got to make your debut at the 5th anniversary of Dynamite in Pittsburgh. I want to talk about that moment for a little bit because
oh my god, it was so good.
That pop was insane. It was one of those things where the way it was shot, we could have done it any number of ways, but the way we ended up doing it, I thought created such a reaction. It got people so excited. And, I kind of want to talk about how did that feel in that moment?
Well, having done this for so long, like I am to this day, anytime someone even recognizes me in the street, I'm honestly very flattered. So to have that reaction, especially for the AEW crowd, being a quote unquote former WWE guy, like I was humbled, I was overjoyed. I was actually kind of worried about how the reaction would be, but like I said, the fans, they've stuck by me through thick and thin all these years, and it was very heartwarming is the best way I can put it, because I really appreciate it, and I loved it, and I could rewatch that moment over and over and over.
It's so good because we did such a great job of hiding you backstage that I think like I'm standing in talent viewing watching this, and it's MVP and Renee talking, and then the camera just moves and it's you. And it was like, what is going on? But at the same time, and now that I know you a little bit more, it's even better. But like your personality immediately came through before you even said a word, just like the look you were giving. And I love that so much because you've had such a storied career in wrestling, but immediately the audience gets to see a little bit of who you are. And then when we see you in the ring, it's like, oh, this guy who is wonderful is a force to be reckoned with, because like, so you had your match with Swerve, and I was legitimately like surprised at how fast you are and how just strong you are. It was shocking. And I like, what does it feel like to be in an AEW ring facing AEW talent finally?
Well, I mean, it was a long time coming. We've almost made it happen, a few times over the past year. But to finally actually be there and to be performing in front of a live crowd on television, like all of those things culminated into just for me a great night. So far, it's been a great experience. Like I'm definitely enjoying my time there, and like I said, I just want to bring the best of me to the program, and hopefully, we can do some big things while there. Again, the feeling surreal, because again, not that I want to harp on my WWE experience too much, but as we said earlier, that that's 18 years of my career, so it's really hard not to reflect and kind of reflect and compare the different. Like it was again humbling. Like I'm a very humble guy that way, but as far as my actual personality and my in-ring abilities, like those have always been there, and it's actually refreshing to be able to show people what I really can do. And so far, fans seem to have taken to it, and I feel like longtime fans always knew, and new fans are going like, okay, is this the same guy from WWE? And honestly, no, I'm not, because I'm off the chain, unrestricted, unleashed. Right? However you want to describe it, like I'm able to work to my ability, and I feel like I'll be able to work towards my potential, and because I have big plans while I'm in AEW, and a world title is definitely on that agenda. So
Yes, I'm so
love
excited.
Love to hear it. It's I think I want to go back to the Leo Rush match, because that got to be your in-ring debut, coming straight out of Wrestle Dream, and that night I think even the most skeptical of AEW fans, the ones who were like, okay, Shelton Benjamin, we know he's good, but what's he going to bring to the table now? I feel like it was one of those moments where when it was over, everyone, you look across the crowd, you look across the internet, you look anywhere that anybody had an opinion, it was Shelton Benjamin belongs here. And I want to talk about that match a little bit, because that was a long time coming for you. You had been working indies here and there, but really, as far as being back on TV and everything along those lines, what was the anticipation like for you? And talk about Leo a little bit as an opponent.
Well, first of all, before I say anything, I have to thank Leo because it's what I'm able to do. It really matters on who I'm doing it to, who I'm doing it with, and from a performance standpoint, Leo made me look like $1 million, and I give all the credit to Leo for that because he was amazing. Like that was my first time ever working with him. So I first of all want to give him all the praise as I can for helping make me look like I belong. So thank you, Leo. Sorry, but also thank you.
He understood the assignment. It's fine.
But again, far as first of all, there's been a lot of talk about the Hurt Syndicate coming to AEW before we got there, and I think it was important for me to kind of set the tone for our group. Obviously, MVP sets a high standard when it comes to his speaking voice, and so that in mind, I have to set a high standard to my in-ring ability. And I think what really makes me stand out is I am, and please don't take this as a insult, other talent. I don't want anyone to take this as an insult to anyone. Mm-hmm. It's just different style. My style is to inflict pain. My style is to hurt people. My style is to brutalize people. My style is not to do a lot of cool moves. Everything I do has a purpose. I can do cool moves. I will do cool moves. But make no mistakes, I'm there to I'm a combat specialist. I'm there to beat people up and hurt people.
I mean, that's one of the beauties of AEW, right? Is we've got space for everybody. We've got the guys who can do the flippy, cool moves. We've got guys who literally come in and just want to hurt people. We've got everything in between along the whole spectrum. Right. So it's literally where the best wrestle. It's a phenomenal place. So it only makes sense that you guys are here because you kind of fit into this mold perfectly, especially with things like the Continental Classic happening right now, where we're going to see these crazy bangers. It's like you have all these different styles sort of interwoven, and you see these cool matches that have never really happened before. Before we get into the Continental Classic a little bit, I want to talk about sort of your chemistry and relationship with MVP. What sort of makes it so special with you guys all sort of working together?
Well, first and foremost, we are true life friends. He lives 5 minutes from me. And
yes, I love that.
We train together, and it's been that way for we're in double digits. Like I moved to Texas back in 2007, and I think around that same time, maybe 2008, he moved to Texas too, and we always lived right down the street from each other. So we always hanging out, always talking, and obviously we've had success together both in WWE and in New Japan. So we have a very long history. We have a very long friendship, and I think one of the great things about MVP is he's a guy who speaks his mind. You really don't have to wonder where you stand with him. He's not going to hold his tongue for anyone. And I've said this before, like he speaks his mind even to his own detriment, but he's very passionate about his convictions, and he doesn't bend for anyone. And as a friend, like that's actually something I admire about him, because there are times when we have a difference of opinion. I'm okay with I'll just go along with it, or I'll just but him, no, like he's not going to budge if he doesn't believe it. He's not going to budge an inch if what he's saying is doesn't line up with what your thoughts are and opinions. And I admire that. Again, like sometimes he can be abrasive even to me, and sometimes I even see it, but I appreciate I prefer friends that will always be honest with me, always let me know where they stand, so there's no confusion as to the nature of my relationship. He's and as far as our on-screen chemistry, well, he's I got the physical stuff down. He's got the talking stuff down, and put us together, and we're an unbeatable team. Now you throw Lashley in there, and we hurt people. That's what we do.
It's fascinating though, because I was having a conversation with MVP a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me about his favorite match of his career, and I'm curious if it lines up with what if yours lines up with what he says, because he talks about how it was a match with the two of you, and it was as
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm cutting you off because I know exactly what you're talking about. It was for the U.S. title. I was a champ. I don't remember the city though. He always remembers the city, but I do remember the circumstance. We were in semi-main, and the main event was actually going to be the Great Khali versus Edge. And at the time, Edge was actually a bit injured, so he did, we were asked to kind of go long, so we give the people what they want. And while we're having this match, we'd had it a few times, but Ricky Steamboat was the agent, and at the time they had just started wiring the refs. So Ricky Steamboat was calling in plays like a coach, calling in spots throughout the match. And what was already was a really good match. Like it went from it was like a 10-star match, and it's definitely one of the best matches of my career. One of the most fun, and what made it so amazing was again because Ricky Steamboat was calling audibles to the ref. The ref would tell us, and then we would implement the stuff he was saying, and it was a great learning experience. So much fun. Yeah, it's one of my proudest matches.
Will, is that the match?
I mean, yeah, that's exactly the story that that MVP told me. So I love the fact that you guys are on the same page as far as that being.
Oh, yeah.
So talking about the fact that you guys have this on-screen chemistry, you have this real-life chemistry, but even as dance partners, you guys obviously had that chemistry there too.
Oh yeah, we went outside each other's heads quite a few times, and I say it's like when guys go off to wars. If you go off and fight a war with someone and you both survive, you're the same platoon. Like that's a brother. You form a brotherhood, and it's thicker than blood. And it's like I said, you gain so much respect for each other. And like I said, at this point, like he's one of my best friends. It's like he's like a brother. He's like a brother to me now. Sometimes a big brother, sometimes an annoying brother, sometimes a bully of a brother, but always a brother.
I love it so much. We got to take a quick break, but we've got more coming up with Shelton Benjamin here on AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will talking with member of the Hurt Syndicate, Shelton Benjamin. We heard a little bit about your relationship with MVP. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Bobby Lashley?
Okay, well, my relationship with Bobby actually started before his WWE debut, and I was coming off of an injury. I had broken my hand, and I went down to OVW just to get a few reps in. And at the time, Bobby was still there training, and we actually had a bit of an amateur match. I think Bill DeMont was training. We had an amateur wrestling match because at the time, typically if someone came in as a shooter, amateur wrestling, I wanted to know, well, how good is he?
I mean, honestly, just knowing both of you guys' backgrounds, which we're going to talk about in a little bit,
right.
This sounds exciting. Just knowing, I can't even imagine how this went.
It was crazy because they cleared the ring. I think Bill DeMont was there, and we kind of shot around for a bit, and Bobby likes to say he won. And I like to say you cheated. Because I was fighting honorably. Like if he would, I almost took him down twice, but he kept grabbing the rope and holding himself up. So when he finally got in on me, I didn't grab the rope. So, we will argue about that, probably till we're old men and gray. But yeah, that's when I found out, okay, he's the real deal. Like he's a great guy. Again, when I choose my actual friends, I look at, not so much their, obviously I respect what they do in the ring, but as a man, I see Bobby, I see him all the time, spending time with his kids and doing all these things. And as a father myself, I admire stuff like that. And I look at his hard work, his work ethic, and for me, that's, birds of a feather flock together. And when I see someone working that hard and someone who is so dedicated to his craft and his family, and, for me, those are the kind of people I want to be around, because those are the kind of attributes I want to emulate. So I surround myself with those kind of people. And, obviously me and Bobby, we've had quite a few matches, in the past too. So again, it's that trial, but that friendship formed through fire. And so now, like I said, it's, we're kind of a 1-2 punch. I like to think of him as, I guess the best way I would describe us, for that would make sense to people. If you're watching the Avengers, okay, MVP is clearly Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. I would like to say I'm somewhere between Thor and Captain America, but Bobby is clearly the Hulk. So that is the dynamic that I like to.
That in just my experience with you guys is so accurate, mainly because there are a lot of times where, again, just the three of you as personalities, it's kind of interesting how Bobby, being as big as he is and as powerful as he is, also is sometimes like voice of reason a little bit, and is almost like the calmer voice between everybody. But it's like, but he's gonna Hulk out at some point. But at least in this moment in time, he's Bruce Banner, and I can deal with Bruce Banner for the moment. Yeah,
Bobby is 100% Bruce Banner backstage.
Yes,
he's extremely intelligent. He's extremely intelligent. Both of them are. Extremely intelligent, extremely humble, and just like the Hulk, he just wants to be left alone to do his work, and he wants to do it the most smartest, most efficient way there is. MVP, if it's either right or it's wrong, there's no in between. Mm-hmm. And I kind of almost see myself as, sometimes I lean one way or the other. It really depends on situational. So I like to think I'm the most reasonable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but at
the same time,
I think the thing people don't know about Shelton Benjamin, and maybe I'm pulling back the curtain a little bit, but you are so much of the ideas guy. There's so many ideas when it comes to things going on, where it's like the way that you think about things, and the way that you think about wrestling, and the way that you think about the audience and bringing the audience into the action and bringing them into even a promo, anything along those lines. Right. I see you as that guy. And so take Tony Stark all you want, because I think that's being the idea guy, I think, honestly, is where I see Shelton Benjamin.
Well, I can come up with a good one here and there. But again, like I said, I like to kind of remind people there's a reason that I've never had a different job in 25 years. I learned my craft. I learned from the best, and I try to apply it as much as possible. I'll teach to those who want it. For those who want, well, you will be forced to learn it if you actually work directly with me. But I'm not gonna. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to force my opinion on anyone. But I want everybody to improve, and I believe all of us have room for improvement, and myself included. I don't know everything. I learn stuff all the time, and even coming into a new company with AEW, one of my concerns was, okay, well, what does this crowd like? What does this crowd expect? And so I ask questions. I ask guys who I know and trust, like Christian. I ask him, what did you change, or things like that about when you got here? Just because, but not just Christian, but also regular AEW talent. Just because I want to know the lay of the land. I don't want to just come in thinking, oh, you're just big star. You're the star in this other place, and I'm using star very liberally here because because that last run was not a starring role. But I want to know the lay of the land. So I need to figure out where, if any, I need to make adjustments, how I will stand out, things like I analyze everything. And a lot of times I've come to realize that when Vince had me doing that whole stupid eye roll thing,
Which is
It's
still,
because
by the way, a go-to like reaction gift that I see all the time from people.
Oh, even I use it. So, there's some truth to it, because when people are when I'm going over a match, or when someone's telling me a match, I'm playing it in my head as they're speaking. Like I'm looking at moments, and I'm looking at possible reaction and things like that. I'm literally playing stuff in my head. So some people are like, "Are you still with me?" Like, no, I'm listening, but I'm legitimately playing the scenario out in my head as I see it, and that's how I approach a lot of my life. I will sit and I play things in my head. So that's probably what Vince picked up on that I never realized, and he didn't ask for the backstory. He just that's something weird. So let's just use it. But as far as my ideas, again, I'm just always trying to find a way to make things better for everyone involved.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that I personally, Shelton, have watched you your entire, at least on-screen career. I saw your first WWE run, watched you in New Japan, watched you in Ring of Honor, second run, and into AEW here. But until I met you in person, the thing that I was astonished by was your size. And I think a big piece of that has to do with the fact that in previous runs, you were never really pushed around your size. Like, when you think about like a lot of some of the more spectacular things, and, you mentioned earlier, you can do those things, and we've seen you do those things. We've seen you, like Shelton Benjamin in a ladder match was something that people, they knew if we're going to see Shelton Benjamin in a ladder match, we're going to see something spectacular. Like that was kind of who you were, to the point of where you almost forgot that this is also a guy with some genuine strength and size to him. And to get to see you, to see that side of you in AEW almost brings us a brand new performer. Was that something that you were very conscious of and very intentional with in trying to formulate who you would be to the AEW audience?
Not necessarily. Like I wasn't trying to come in as a big guy. I was just trying to come in the best possible shape I could be in. So obviously, and again, to go back to WWE, I always saw myself as a little guy, especially when I originally started, because it was the land of the giants. You got guys like Kane, Taker, Brock, Big Show, Mark Henry. Even got I didn't realize how big Billy was until I got to WWE.
Massive.
So there were all these matches. So when I originally came in, I think I was around 230, 6'2", 230 when I originally started WWE, and I felt like a little guy. Like in my head, I was like, I got to get up to 250. I got to get up to. I couldn't even. My metabolism was so fast, I couldn't even get. I couldn't pack the weight on.
Damn.
But yeah, when I left WWE the first time, and I remember I started doing some indie shows for the first time, and kind of what you were saying, a lot of people when I showed up, they were like, "Whoa, we didn't realize you were this big," because they were booking me with guys who were 5'9", 170, and I could kind of just put them on my finger and spin them like a basketball. So people are like, well, he's. A lot of times when they're like, well, you weren't flying around and stuff. I'm like, I fly when I need to. If I'm wrestling a guy that's, 30, 40 pounds lighter than me and 3 inches shorter, now he's going to be the one flying because I'm going to launch him. But you give me someone like Big Show, yeah, I might need my whole body just to stagger the guy. So it's all, we are not all built equally, and I don't treat everybody the same. So but as far as my size goes, I like to remind people I am a heavyweight collegiate wrestler. I was a heavyweight high school wrestler. So my weight class in high school was 275. I weighed 204, and I'm a 2-time state champ and took third in the nation my senior year. Collegiate, it was 286. The heaviest I ever weighed in was 217. However, I'm a 4-time All-American, junior college national champ, I took third at NCAAs my senior year. I've been on Olympic teams. I've lifted guys like, Rulon Gardner off, from the floor, So my strength and all that stuff, like that's just been my life. I'm just a strong country boy.
I love
I
it
can
so
attest
much.
to him being strong because one time I walked into the hotel gym and Shelton here is on the treadmill carrying these giant ass dumbbells in addition to doing cardio. And it's just immediately like, I don't know if I should step it up or if I should run away because like he's this very scary person. He was already big and now he's like, oh, now he's big and strong.
Love it, love it. Hey, we got to take one more quick break here on AEW Unrestricted, but we've got more right here with Shelton Benjamin. Stay tuned. This is AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted. We're talking with the standard of excellence, Shelton Benjamin. Yeah. And of course, AEW Unrestricted, brought to you by Upper Deck. And I want to talk about these Upper Deck cards in particular because a couple of these should be very familiar to you. First one I want to talk about is this man here, Chris Jericho.
Who is it?
Chris Jericho was a man that you first defeated for the Intercontinental Championship. I believe it was Taboo Tuesday 2004.
Right.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about that scenario because that's a scenario that we've talked about a lot, the idea of essentially fan-voted matches. How prepared were you that night going into facing Chris Jericho and walking out the Intercontinental Champion?
Mentally, not at all. I will say that is my favorite match of all
Really?
time.
Really?
Yes. For a few reasons. Number one, I 100% was not expecting to be in that match. Like 1,000%. And I know that leading up to it, they'd give me a little push and rub, and I actually had a little thing I did with Mr. McMahon to, just kind of help, bring in the votes. But when we got to the building, and I've said this over and over, I expected Batista to be working Chris Jericho that night. And so I really didn't put much thought into the night. Like I'm a big kid, I'll admit that. And I was just happy-go-lucky. I'm like, oh, this is just a day off. I'm just hanging out in the back. We got to do a little pre-tape while they announce it. And then I can go chill, go play my video games or whatever. So I was 100% not expecting to be working. And I know Chris was trying to figure out who it was going to be, because if you look at the original Taboo Tuesday, it was voted in by the fans, but Chris is the only person who really had no idea who he was going to wrestle. He had 15 potential opponents. Every other match on that card, the guys knew who they were working, and they knew there was going to be some sort of gimmick, and they knew what gimmick it would be. So everyone else could prepare. There's no way you prepare for 15 guys. Like, the only thing he could do was before the show, try to figure out, okay, who is he going to wrestle? Who is he going to wrestle? And as far as I know, and as far as, every conversation I've had with Chris, he knew nothing until they announced it and I walked to the ring. I was not even paying attention when they were announcing the name. That's why my reaction is so, delayed, because I'm like, oh, really? Shit, like,
oh my God.
Yeah, so I went down and, we had, Chris, who, he was a great leader, and he led that match, and he led me to my first championship win. And like I said, at that point, I was overachieving because, not to, well, I should say, because of what I'd watched in wrestling before, I hadn't seen a lot of black Intercontinental champions. I'd seen black tag team champions. So in my head, that's all I was thinking about. And by that time, I already won the tag team championship twice. So for me, when I won the IC title, that was, I'm officially overachieving my original goals when getting into the business. But it was also a culmination of all the guys who had taught me how to just go in the ring and listen. I knew we planned nothing.
Wow.
And I just listened to Chris, and thanks to guys who taught me, like Danny Davis, like Rip Rogers, like Eddie Guerrero. I had a lot of great wrestling minds who taught me how to do that. So the first time I really got to apply it in a big way was in my first championship match, and like I said, that's why it's my favorite match of all time.
Wow, I need to go watch this. That's incredible.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Well, and the other card I wanted to discuss is an opponent that is coming up for you in the Continental Classic. It is the TNT champion, Daniel Garcia.
Okay.
Oh,
and of course,
I want this match so bad.
Now, of course, Garcia very much known for his ground game. That is a thing that Daniel Garcia has very much made himself known for. But Shelton Benjamin,
his ground game.
That's the beauty is I'm about to talk about.
How many All-American honors does he have?
None.
In wrestling.
And that was where I was actually going with this. That Shelton Benjamin, of course, former All-American NCAA. Talking about there are records that still stand. University of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Shelton Benjamin's name still there.
Well, yeah.
What does Daniel Garcia have to look forward to in this Continental Classic match?
Besides pain.
Wow. Well, I will just say I don't recommend going to the ground game because he's in for the fight of his life, to be honest, because I am a hybrid. I can fly, I can do power, and I can do technical. There's not a whole lot you can throw at me that I'm not going to be prepared for. So in the case of Daniel Garcia, like, he's really going to have to step it up because I am coming at him full force with everything I have. Because again, I'm not there to make people happy. I'm there to hurt people. So that he can expect brutality. As Mr. T would say, pain.
Yes. Oh man, I'm so stoked. Like, Continental Classic was so good last year, and it's just going to be even better this year. And a big part of that is because Shelton's in this. So we're going to see incredible matches. I want to talk a little bit about your match with Mark Briscoe, because it was incredible to watch as someone who, like, I'm really good friends with Mark Briscoe, and to see you kind of come in and just literally throw him around like he's a doll, right? But my favorite was I was watching the online reaction, and there was someone who was their first time ever watching wrestling. So this is their first match they've ever seen, and they're just like, "Is he alive?" was like the question they asked. So what was that match like? Because obviously Mark is a very different opponent to someone like Swerve, different opponent to a lot of the other people in the Continental Classic field, different than Leo. What was it like?
But somebody you're also very familiar with, because
yes,
because
thank you.
I was going to say you've tied up with the Briscoes.
Yes.
Right. So I would say in this tournament, Mark is probably the person that is most familiar with me in my in-ring. So there was a bit of familiarity to that. But obviously, we both evolved from our Ring of Honor days. So it was, I'll be honest, I love the Briscoes.
Oh, who doesn't?
I've always loved the Briscoes. So it was really, it was kind of, I was kind of sad that I had to do what I had to do because I love him. And I mean, he's been tearing it up. And, so it was a bit surreal to be in there with him, and but also fun. I've always enjoyed being in the ring with him, and I'm pretty sure we'll mix it up again at some point. But as far as, like I said, right now I am laser focused on just destroying everything in my path. So once that bell rings, past relationships mean jack all to me. Like I said, I'm there to hurt people.
Which we have to say, by the way, the song talking about the Hurt Syndicate theme song.
Mm-hmm.
I the first time I heard it was on MVP's phone in a hotel lobby, and the second it got to West Side Gun, simply repeating "We hurt people," I went. My head went, "Oh, that's gonna catch on." The crowd. I didn't expect it to catch on by the time the song was over. Like, you could hear as the track fades out, the crowd chanting "We hurt people," and it's like, this is the first time these people are hearing the song. What is happening here? And now it's a hit. It's amazing how this has gotten over with people.
Hey, a hook is a hook, all right? So, there have been plenty of songs that, you hear for the first time. It's like, oh, my God, I'm into it. Most recently for me, a song Back on 74 by Jungle. I heard that laying in my bed at night just randomly, and I jumped out of bed immediately to teach myself how to play it on the guitar because I was loving it. So
I just heard that for the first time like 3 days ago, and so good.
You tell me you weren't bopping.
Yeah, no, honestly, it hit me. It was I remember in that moment, as soon as you said that, I pulled out my phone, I hit the little Shazam button, and I'm like, "What is this? I got to know what this is." Yeah. Like it hooked me like that. It was
and again, that's MVP. That's MVP. When he played it to me the first time, I was kind of like, and mind you, as much as I love music, I'm not very in tune with today's music for the most part. MVP has his pulse on it. Mm-hmm. So when he originally played it for me, I was like, I don't know. And he kind of explained to me, I was like, look, if you say it's going to work, I'm all for it. And, we'll see. But I did know, like, okay, that hook is going to
yes.
And he was right. Now, that being said, I think my theme music is off the chart. Mega Ran and Ruckus, oh my God. Thank you so much. I love my theme song. It is, I trust me, I be bumping that thing down the highway when I'm home.
But I tweeted the day that you debuted it. I genuinely think it is one of the best original theme songs AEW's ever let out. Like, that is not an exaggeration. The first time I heard it, I was just like, this is it. This is fantastic. Like, and it was such a collaborative effort too. Cause I mean, you got you had your input on how you wanted the instrumental, and then, and Mega Ran came through with the verses and the hook, and like everything just worked.
Yeah. I swear to God, like Ruckus and, we were working on the beat together, but when we brought in Mega Ran, holy cow, it changed the complexion. I was like, oh my God, this is better than anything I could have imagined. And I'm like, it's a wrestler's theme song, but could just as easily be on the charts, the Billboard Top 100. I hope it is. Like, we need to get it there. So, because I love, like I said, both the Hurt Business theme and my own personal theme. Magnifique.
So good. So good. I apparently need to do some additions to my workout playlist. So I made a couple notes. That's the first thing I'm doing when we're done here is adding those. So excited. So this was an absolutely incredible conversation. I know we've only recently got to know each other, but I feel like we're already best friends.
Yeah, we're fast friends.
Fast friends. Spending all the time in catering. It's freaking great. I love Shelton. He's awesome. Thank you for being here today. This was an incredible conversation. We really enjoyed having you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I will see you guys soon. Very soon.
Soon. It's always soon. It's either soon this week or soon next week. Yeah, really excited.
Who's on the agenda for next week?
Who's on the agenda? Everyone is on the agenda.
Pretty much everyone.
Everyone's gonna be hurt. I'm very, very excited. AEW Unrestricted, sponsored in part by Upper Deck. You can collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. You can get autograph, memorabilia, premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. Boom. You can listen to review and follow this podcast, AEW Unrestricted, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Check out this video episode so you can see this amazing man, Shelton Benjamin, in your camera, even more than you already get to do on TV. Just search AEW Unrestricted on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And are you an AEW insider? Get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandising offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today, AEWTix.com. Don't forget, Dynamite, TBS, Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Rampage, TNT, Friday nights, 10 p.m. Collision, Saturday, TNT. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. I'm Aubrey Edwards, here with my best friend, Will Washington. Thank you so much for listening to AEW Unrestricted.